I'm Flathead Associate News Editor Ariel Cohen here with Student Assembly Presidential and Vice Presidential candidates Dallen, McNerney, and Stacy LaRiviere. So, why do you guys want to run for Student Assembly this year?
Well, Stacy and I have known each other for 2 years now. We've both been involved in different aspects of Student Assembly. We've both enjoyed our time, and we decided, looking at this year, looking at next year, where the Student Assembly is going, how it's been going, we decided that it was within our best interest to run for student body president and vice president. We felt like right now the Student Assembly is not where it should be in representing student interests. The Student Assembly is basically meant for students, and we feel like at this point in time it's not on track to do so. So we felt like that we, as a pair, could best be suited for that task.
Mm-hmm. And Dallen and I just really want to emphasize that we want to represent all students. And we think we can do that through a grassroots approach, and basically students can come to us and feel comfortable with saying what issues they have and what interests they see that they need, and we just want to provide a good route for student advocacy in the essay.
Okay, great. And what in your previous experience with Student Assembly and at the college makes you uniquely qualified to execute this vision?
Well, like I said, I've been in Student Assembly for 2 years. I've been a senator. Right now I'm the chair of the policy committee and the secretary of the finance committee. Basically, within that role, I've seen how the Student Assembly works. I have a very good idea of how different branches interact. And at some points in time, like the Senate and the exec, they don't interact very well. As a senator, I feel like it's very important to increase communications between the two bodies. They're very separate bodies right now, and that should be one giant step that we should take next year. And so I feel like, as my experience in that, that'd be a good way to bring the two together. Also, I'm in Residence Hall Association, so I directly work with different residence halls across campus, and I see what their concerns are through both positions. Actually, I'm very much in tune with what other people want to do. And what they want from the Student Assembly. And so I hope, with that experience, I can use that to generally push what people want.
For me, basically, I've been working with the Public Affairs Department as the Undersecretary of Public Affairs, and we have this event, Road to Richmond, which really lets students advocate on behalf of the college. And a lot of students don't know that Richmond issues really affect William & Mary and William & Mary students, and I think through constant education through that, students can be more aware of what influence that they can have actually on policy making, which will translate into what's going on campus. And through Student Leadership Foundation, I've been able to gain more resources and figure out how to implement policy and how to work with a diverse group of people. And we've had diversity training, sensitivity training, and integrated leadership training. So basically we can bring all different groups together and enhance leadership abilities through valuing all kinds of skills and skill sets.
Okay, great. And now you two are the only all-sophomore pair running of the 6.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you're a little bit younger, what do you think makes you two qualified to run against, candidates who may have had more time on this campus, have seen more, have more experience?
Well, once again, I'm the only sophomore at the top of the ticket, so I think Alyssa's the only other person that is a sophomore. So that's also a big thing. It's not just having another sophomore; it's one at the top of the ticket. But like I said, Stacy and I have been involved in a number of different clubs and activities on campus, a huge variety. And so from that, we've gained a lot of experience, working with different people, working with different clubs. So while we've had less time, I feel like we've more than made up in the amount of experience we've had in our positions, in the different clubs, and our positions within those clubs. Also, I think it's actually a good thing that we're younger. One, we have a fresher approach to the Student Assembly. We've been in there. We've been in there. We've seen how it is. We haven't been in there too long, where we're stuck in our ways.
We're not jaded yet.
Yeah, exactly. And then so we aren't saying the Student Assembly is fine the way it is. We don't need to change it. There's not that much we can do or should do. But so we can definitely the two complement each other. Also, in our senior year, whatever we end up doing our senior year, we'll be able to talk about our experiences with the pair that were to follow us in case we didn't end up running for re-election. But there's a big problem within student assembly, especially the turnover. We have
It's so hard.
a lot of
Oh my
executive
gosh.
members are seniors, are juniors that don't want to run again, stuff like that, where we have just the amount of experience that you gain in a year isn't passed on to the next year.
And that's where the infrastructure breaks down, because people aren't transitioning effectively, and that's where knowledge gaps happen. So like with a younger ticket, we could pass on our expertise and we'll still be on campus and people could talk to us and ask us questions because we'll still be around.
Mm-hmm. And then another thing, I know that you two have said if elected, you would try and find your cabinet from not necessarily people from the student assembly or those that you know. You would try and reach out to the larger community, and that kind of plays into the fact that right now in student assembly, there's no denying that there's sort of a sense of apathy, and people,
Right.
the student body in general isn't really caring as much about what's going on in student assembly. So how exactly do you plan to get people more involved, get everyone working together towards a common goal?
I think you hit the nail on the head with the very basic problem with student assembly is apathy. It's apathetic. But it's not the fact that students are doing what they should be doing. Student assembly needs to take a step further and get more people involved, make people want to get involved in student assembly. It's not like, they don't have a million other things they could do. People could be in flat hat or whatever that are 100 times more interesting. And then so we just need to make student assembly more engaging. And so I think right away, if we were elected, we would host events. We would, bring food and have everybody go to Lodge 1 or something and hear about what they can do within the student assembly. We aren't going to be, we have friends that we know in the student assembly right now who would do well. However, we are not going to just do what actually happens a lot, where cabinet people are picked because they're friends or they help somebody get elected. We genuinely think we're going to look for the best people for the job.
Right.
That's their purpose within the student assembly, is to help students the best they can. And so they have to be somebody that's especially fitted for a position. We aren't going to go through our friends, our top friends, who helped us through the campaign and say, okay, this person gets this person gets this. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to look at what people have done, what people want to do, how effective they're going to be, and those are going to be the main indicators.
By reaching out through the whole student body, we hope to find the most skilled candidates, and we're not placing quantity over quality here, because even though we want as many students to be interested in the cabinet as possible, we want to find those who are dedicated and passionate. And I think that's also a good reason why we're opening cabinet selection, because by them coming to us, they're already expressing interest, and they're not just being appointed or selected by us. Mm-hmm. So by them showing interest and by us showing interest, it's more of a mutual beneficial experience going on.
Yeah, and I think, and just to clarify, when Stacy says, their experience, their skill set, we aren't just talking about their skill set or experience with the student assembly.
A variety of skill sets.
Yeah, exactly. You could have somebody that's in, for finance secretary, say. You could have somebody that's the treasurer of the IR club, who has obviously been working with hundreds of members, working with dues and that kind of thing. And so clearly that's an experience that isn't necessarily within the student assembly, but it very much complements
or
the
an
task,
accounting major.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so in addition to this sort of concept that you have, what else do you think distinguishes you two from the other 5 candidates running? Can you tell us a little bit about your platform?
Okay, so basically there are a bunch of different things that we're working on. The main focus is to be relatable, as we already mentioned, just to make it so we're pushing ideas that students want. The thing we've been working on is basketball courts on campus. Outdoor basketball courts, there aren't any outdoor basketball courts on campus, and that's something that was brought to me by students. I've been talking to people about ideas, and somebody said, hey, why don't we have outdoor basketball courts? Other colleges do, what's wrong with that? So that's something that I looked into, we're currently working on. We're trying to, seek funding for that. Student assembly can definitely help out with that, and that's massage chairs. I, this year, brought back massage chairs. Last year, there were a trial run during finals. A couple people liked them. But I got a lot from the student assembly. A lot of people were saying, we don't want to fund this because students don't want it. And I said, wait a second. Every student that I talked to said that they love this idea. What's wrong? And they're like, oh, we can spend money on other things. But these are other things that are student assembly things that student assembly wants, but it's not what students want. So I wasn't a huge fan of huge fan of massage chairs at first, but when students talked to me and they said, hey, you should do that again, I like immediately jumped on it and said, okay.
Homecoming.
Homecoming. We hope to have a big homecoming float drive at William Mary Hall. A lot of music. People, the student assembly pays for float supplies, and people all together make floats for homecoming to make homecoming a bigger deal. And then an International Culture Fest where we celebrate international culture on the Sun Gardens in PBK.
We'd have dancing and like booths of every cultural organization. They would like have food and music, and it would just be a great way to show the diversity of William & Mary, and that's something that William & Mary really prides itself on, so I think it would be a great way for Student Assembly to incorporate that.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Do you guys have any closing statements you'd like to make before we wrap up?
I just think that Stacy and I, we work well together. We both, we know a lot of people, and we enjoy talking to people. That's the main thing. So we're gonna stay relatable. We're gonna, keep in touch with students, and we're gonna push what students want. That's our main focus next year. Is student assembly. It has the word student in it, so we need to focus on the students themselves.
It's for the students, and that's what we're here for. We want people to come to us. Want people to talk to us continually. We'll be around. So find us and talk to us.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.